Hey everyone, this is Feldspar. This is a video that shows my setup for my Retribution Paladin. There's also a good Retribution Paladin guide on YouTube. I'll put a link in the description below. It talks a lot about the stats, reforging, enchants, glyphs, some of the gear that you want to try to look for. It's a pretty good overall guide. It also has some rotation stuff in there, which I do a little bit different stuff than because of my four-piece and my talents, So anyway, I'll point that out when I get to it. Try to watch the video and then keep that in mind as you watch my setup. So the first thing I do is, well, I tend to run with um, the standard UI that Blizzard provides. So when my when I'm in a raid, I'll have the raid windows. I've got the class colors and stuff like that. So it's it's similar to other people's UI that you see as far as the raid frames and stuff. So first thing I do is I move my character icon and my target icon down towards my tune. So what the idea there is that you keep your eyes focused more on the center of the screen. You don't have to move them as far, left or right. If you're looking left or right, maybe it's just quickly at other um, things that are happening in the environment, not looking at what your character's health is or anything like that. So it's kind of like it follows the rule of don't text and drive. Same concept applies here. So keep your eyes on where the action is. The first add-on I want to talk about is CLC Ret, and so when I click on this target here, you'll notice that it's showing an exorcism icon there, and the next one would be Crusader Strike. So if I do a exorcism, then it pops up and does that. Well, since the thing is below 20%, so it'll have me go through and it gives suggestions. I can simply just do exactly what it says to do, and I can do that. Now the thing is once you know what to do, it's how's the best way to use your abilities. So there's a lot of abilities available, especially when you hit level 90. When you're brand new, you've got one or two things, and that's all you have to worry about. But when you hit level 90, you've got gobs and gobs of abilities, and as a paladin too, you've got support spells that you can do. So what I tend to do is I put my primary abilities on 1 through 5. I've got for 6 I've got Fist of Justice, which is something you sometimes do in raiding. Probably more PvP, but it has usefulness in raiding. So I keep my primary abilities 1 through 5. And I still use WSAD for movement, but just barely, just when I have to. I don't keyboard turn or anything like that. That's supposed to be bad, but I will sometimes keyboard turn if it's convenient. The main ones you want to use are Q and E for strafing, because those are the primary ones you'll be using for movement if you're not using the mouse. And the point I'm making is that you quickly get into a problem of having too many abilities and not enough keys that are conveniently located. There are a couple ways to remedy this. My preferred way is a combination of modifier macros and keybinds. I find it easy to use the Alt key and still hit 1 through 5 as well as the other keys. So one of quickly, you know, one of my macros would be my Templar's Verdict. So I actually have in here where it's going to also use my number one, I forget which number one, what is number, I don't know what that is. So anyway, like you can macro stuff into where it'll use your trinkets. For me, since you only use Templar's Verdict once you have 3 holy power, it's not really, I don't really want it like to take up a bar spot. So now, you know, so once I build up 3 holy power, I can hold down the Alt key and Templar's Verdict will show up there. And then so Alt 2 and I've cast it. You know, same thing with a lot of these others. Like I put Alt 4 is usually my rebuke, counterspell, you know, whatever, silencing shot or something like that on all my characters, so that you just get used to casting it, and it just becomes you know, second nature to interrupt spells and stuff. So now there, you know, there's other abilities or macros I want to use on keys 6 through the equals. An easy way to access those abilities is to keybind another key to them. You know, so there's some keys that are close to your WSAD, and if you want to even use WSAD, you could do that. I generally just have, I think about 4 or 5 that I macro in there. So you can see X, mouse button 4, G, T, and R. So those are all pretty close to you know, where my hand is, you know, through 1 through 4, you know, WSAD, they're nearby. So you get, the thing is when you keybind something, it's going to take you a little bit of practice to get used to using that that new key instead of what it was there for before. So you just, what you need to do is just practice with your key bindings. Another add-on I use is Need to Know. So you can see what will happen. So when I have Inquisition going, it'll pop up a little button, little bar down below. So you can actually configure that for different kinds of spell cooldowns or procs or different things, you know, depending on if it's on the target or if it's on you. You know, I just find it handy to kind of let me know that, you know, there's something I need to be aware of. Let's see. The other thing, you know, so, you know, I talked about being kind of a support class, so there's a lot of things you can do, you know, things you need to cast on other players, but you know, what happens is that in order to cast it, you have to click on their frame and then move your mouse over to, you know, like cleanse. If I want to cleanse somebody, so I want to cleanse that, and I have to click on them and then click cleanse, and then, you know, that's just way too slow. When what I use a add-on called Click, CLIQUE, and if you come into this binding menu, you can set up different bindings. So you can use a different combination, Shift, Alt, I think Control 2. It's kind of hard for me to reach Control the way I play. So, you know, if you need to do a lay on hands on someone, you know, it's better to just, you know, with a key combination, you know, click on their frame and, you know, heal them or cleanse them or something like that. So, and I also heal, so I tend to use use it for healing on some of the other stuff that I don't normally have, you know, on my mouseover macros. So let's see. The other thing, so like I was as Retribution, I use two mouseover macros. So if I want to, well, since I've got that targeted, if I want to do a Eternal Flame or Word of Glory, I can just mouse over the frame and cast it without having to take continue my rotation while I cast Word of Glory on people in the raid. I've got a kind of a more complicated macro. It's this Holy Prism, so I can actually, if I mouse over something, it'll hit it, or I can mouse over somebody, or if I just don't have anything else selected, it will hit my current target. And I'll show you that in a little bit once it's off cooldown. Let me see. So the other thing is I highly recommend getting the 4-piece set bonus, even if you have to use LFR or flex gear in 1 or 2 spots, unless it's just you have some Warforged, and sometimes you'll just have to play around with it. So I change, based on that, I change my style of play a little bit. Most of the guides will tell you to, pool up to 5 holy power before you use anything. And the way I play, I tend to play with divine purpose, so it has a 25% chance to proc when I use holy power, and then the 4-piece bonus is a 25% chance to proc divine purpose. So the way I do things differently is so when I have 3 holy power, I will go ahead and use it and see it proc both divine purpose and divine crusader. So I'll use divine crusader, and then I'll hit my divine purpose, I believe. So I've had cases where this is done multiple, like here, I've got 4, 5, 6, 7, and when you're in trash, you will just totally tear them up, because you'll be just spamming your divine storm button. So I just like it a little bit better than some of the other stuff they have. It just depends on the boss fight. Sometimes Holy Avenger works out really good. If you're kind of lacking on healing, sometimes Holy Avenger can be a little bit better, because if you get to a particular spot that has a lot of damage, you can hit Holy Avenger and then just start spamming your Word of Glory on your raid members and stuff. So I just find it, you just have to play around with it, and you get your own style and stuff like that. So that is some of my setup and how I generally roll. I recommend running LFR and Flex if you have any possible upgrades you can get. It is also a great practice for the normal fights. You can also build your muscle memory, so your reaction time will decrease the more practice you get. Too often I see people that want to raid but can't seem to stay out of the bad stuff on the ground, or do not know their rotation well enough to put out the damage that they should be doing. A lot of this can easily be fixed by practice. Gems and enchants just cost gold, and that is an easy fix. The hard part is getting people to actually practice, getting to know their character. And once if you don't have to look at your abilities, that's more of the time you can be looking to make sure you're not standing in something, or looking to see if you need to move somewhere, to to respond to some boss mechanic and stuff. And a lot of these boss fights, it's like learning a new dance. You just have to um, have to do it. And it's like if you're dancing, if you have to constantly be looking at your feet to see what your feet are doing, then you're not going to, be a good dancer. And believe me, I'm not a good dancer. So um, anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll post some links in the bottom, in the description below, along with a couple of the macros that I'm using. Hope you enjoy it, and like and subscribe. Thanks.